Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
You're listening to Believe You Me with Michael the Count Bisping.
You know my name yet?
And Anthony Lionheart Smith.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Believe You Me podcast, the one, the only, one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. And now one of the greatest podcasters, one of the greatest guys, one of the biggest smiles. And it's always great to talk to you. My brother, the one and only Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson.
Michael, thanks for having me back on, man. The Count. How you doing, brother?
I mean, listen, if Carlsberg did introductions, you don't know what that is. That's an English joke. No one else will get that, so I shouldn't have said it. But I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm doing better than your timekeeping, brother. My God. The whole team's been sitting here waiting to start for ages. And we're like, well, the guy's one of the GOATs. We'll have to wait.
Okay. Well, I always like to be honest and transparent with you. So this would happen. Okay. So my wife had an appointment. I brought her home. She took a nap. Then I went to go pick my son up. He had a dentist appointment. I dropped him off. I had a vasectomy 2 years ago. So I want to make sure I'm still shooting blanks. And so I, had to bust one out real quick.
Nice.
Went back there, and then they're all on lunch to 2 p.m. I was like, okay, well, I'll sit here and wait.
The sperm's on lunch?
No. The ladies at the urology office are on lunch. So I go in there and it's 2 p.m. I'm like, hey, I'm just going to leave this. She goes, is that a semen? Is that a semen sample? I was like, it is. She goes, you got to take it to the laboratory. And I'm like, oh my God, you didn't tell me that. So I drove to the laboratory, dropped it off there and ran back to the truck and drove home. And right when I got home, I came and jumped on this podcast. So I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I have, adult things to take care of.
Well, that is certainly as adult as it can get, really. So 2 years ago, you decided to have the big snip. I've been talking about this for a while. I'm assuming that everything went smoothly and you're still firing blanks, or you haven't had the news yet.
I think I'm still firing blanks, but we just want to make sure we're firing blanks. And I highly recommend it. You get it done, and you got to worry about any protection, I guess you can say.
Yeah. No, without saying, screw it. Who cares? Because my wife had some kind of contraceptive thing. I don't even know what it's called, where it stops her getting pregnant for 10 years. But she's like, Michael, you've got to do something, because that time's up. Do you know what I mean? We're still playing the lottery. Do you know what I'm saying? Which I don't want to win that lottery. That's for damn sure. How many kids you got, Demetrious?
I have 3. I have 2 boys and 1 girl, and I'm done.
What ages?
10, 8, and 5.
10, 8, and 5. Oh, yeah. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Demetrious, you are one of the greatest of all time. But who is your greatest mixed martial artist, in your opinion?
Man, when you look at the landscape, there's so many great athletes out there. You have Khabib, you have John Jones, you have Anderson Silva. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And if I have to come to the top of my head, I'll have to say John Jones. I feel every single time he fought anybody, he could beat them however way he wanted. Right? Like, obviously he had his tough fights with Alex Gustafsson, Thanos, forget his name off the top of my head.
Thiago Santos.
Yeah, Thiago Santos. So he's had tough fights, but I feel like at those times when he's fighting, he was like, I'm just here just to do whatever I want. When he fought Rampage, I felt he submitted Rampage. He could have knocked him off if he wanted to. He pulled guard on Rampage. So I'll have to go with John Jones.
Yeah. Just thought I'd ask because, you're certainly up there for the conversation. And that is one of those conversations that never goes away. You know what I mean? And it's like opinions are like arseholes. We've all got them.
Yep.
Data came out recently, said John Jones. And I kind of agree. It's either him or George St. Pierre. But who cares? That's kind of boring. That's played out. That's been done. UFC 300 is around the corner, Demetrious.
Yes,
you
sir.
never fought on 1, 2, and certainly not 3. Mm-hmm. Was there ever discussions of you being on 1 or 2?
No, not at all. I was pretty much taking care of all the Fox cards, UFC on Fox 3, UFC on Fox 6, 8. So that's where most of my title defenses were taking place. And then UFC 178, UFC 186. I just kind of missed the 200, 300 or whatnot. Well, obviously 300 because I'm not even in the company anymore.
Yeah, no, exactly. What is the status of your fight career currently? I mean, I just saw you ragdolling some big dude, but are you still competing professionally?
Yeah, I'm still active. I'm going through this time in my life where I'm home a lot more with the kids and the wife. My father-in-law just went through, he just had 2 open heart surgeries. So we're trying to take care of him. So right now fighting is on the back burner. I've been focusing more on building my brand and the YouTube, and jiu-jitsu is fun, right? Like I train, 3 days a week with the kids, and I can just go away and go compete at a big tournament, go compete for a weekend and go back home and get back to life. When you get ready for a fight camp, you got to do the promoting, you got to, take 8 to 12 weeks out of your life away from your wife and kids. And for me, that just doesn't seem very appealing right now.
Yeah, I mean, you've done that for so long because I obviously I know what you're talking about. It's a big stress. It's a big sacrifice to make. And as you say, you got family matters to deal with and help your father-in-law and be there for your wife and all the rest of it. So totally get it. Talk to me about this victory that you had in the jiu-jitsu world recently, because that clip went viral. It started off the big dude swinging you around all over the place, but then you get him with a collar choke, I think it was. You used the gi anyway.
Yeah. So for me, I love to compete in the gi. It's like a brand new hobby. It's a breath of fresh air. Like you said, I've competed for 18
years.
I love it. I love it because it takes away my athletic ability. It takes away my speed, even though I still have speed in it. But imagine if I did no gi, I can just move around however I want. But it was a major tournament, Pans. I wanted to compete. I want to compete at all the major tournaments. So Euros, Worlds, Brazil one day, the one in Japan. Just wanted to compete all those. So Pans was right around the corner, and I was like, I'm going to do it. Went out there. I won my division. I had 3 matches, and I was like, I want to challenge myself. I'm healthy. 3 matches. It's like, YOLO, let's do it. And then I signed up for the Open, and the next thing you know, the first guy I got was the super heavyweight division champ, Mike. And then
he was the champ.
He was a champ because in open weight division, absolute, from what I've been told, everybody who places top 1 and 3, whoever makes the podium gets the opportunity to get invited to or put their name to join that tournament, that bracket. And he did it. And the guy I lost to was the heavyweight champ who won the heavyweight division. So
yeah, well, congratulations. And that's a pure example of, technique over strength, whatever you want to call it. But I feel for that guy, Demetrious. Why'd you have to make a fool out of it? The guy's a champion at heavyweight, and you're going to choke him out? Yeah. Jesus Christ, have a bit of respect for the guy. He's going to go home to his wife and kids and say, Demetrious Johnson, who's the size of my leg, choked me out, beat me at my own game. That's all he's got in life. You're one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time, okay? Right? You're going down in history. The guy's just got the jiu-jitsu, and he's got to go back and look his wife in the eye and say, yeah, this guy that can't even get a woman pregnant choked me out.
Well,
how dare you?
Okay. Well, I got my wife pregnant 3 times, so I think we already covered that basis. And it's part of the sport, right? Like I got caught up in the triangle. The guy was absolutely respectful. I was respectful. It could have happened to any one of us. It just so happened it was my day. I'm sure if we were ever to meet again, he's going to approach the fight a little bit different, as I will as well. And it was fun, man. But damn, man, tell your wife, you got beat by someone who can't even get a woman pregnant. Come on, babe.
No, come on. I'm joking. Yeah,
I know.
No, congratulations. It's unbelievable. Well done. It actually makes me jealous because I'm, all the injuries that I've got, I see you competing like that, and I would love to do that. I really would, but c'est la vie, buddy. C'est la vie. So UFC 300 is around the corner, as I said. What is the fight that jumps off the page for you? What's the big one that you're looking forward to?
Man, the 2 big ones that get me excited is probably Aljamain Sterling making his featherweight debut against Calvin Kattar. And then you also got Figueiredo taking on Cody Garbrandt. I think those 2 fights those ones have the most storyline that mean a lot to me, right? You have Cody Garbrandt. He went down to 125, wasn't successful, gets knocked out by Kai France. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to go back up to 135. He has a close fight. He wins that fight, beats that gentleman. Then I feel like he's won 2 at bantamweight. Now he's going against the former champion at flyweight division, one of the heavy hitters from flyweight, going up to 135, which I feel like that's his natural weight. Cody's chin has been tested. I don't know if his chin's still there. How is he going to approach this fight against Figueiredo? Then you have the former bantamweight champion, Aljamain Sterling, going up to 145, where it's more of his natural weight. He's going to be cutting all that muscle off his body. How does he go against a guy with great stand-up, great finishes, and he's very good, very tough. So those 2 are like my that I like to try to keep my eye on. That's what I'm looking forward to from that fight card.
Which is very interesting, and I understand the personal connection and why you would pick those. But of course, the bantamweight fight between Figueiredo and Garbrandt, first fight of the night, and then Sterling and Keita is on the prelims. You know, so if I was to say that, they would say that I'm just hyping the prelims because I get from the UFC. But you said it. You said it. Talk to me about Charles Oliveira. No. Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. I'm very interested in that because Max Holloway, as we know, the man's phenomenal. Moving up a weight class, going up against somebody so dangerous. Give me your thoughts on that, Demetrious.
Yeah, I mean, you got Max Holloway taking on Justin Gaethje. I mean, the card is pretty much stacked. Right. I mean, when I said those two fights, I felt like those were on the main card, but that's just the prelims, like you said. So when you look at Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje, had Max on the Mighty Cast, let's be dropping soon. But when you look at those two, that's an interesting fight because Max, he can box and he can also kickbox, but he likes to box most of the time. And then you have Justin Gaethje. It's kind of weird because a lot of people don't realize Justin Gaethje's background from the PFL days where he used to just hammer people's legs. He would make people quit on the stool during a fight because his leg kicks were so good. And he has a great jab, great combination. He can also wrestle. So that's for the BMF belt. And that's going to be a sick ass fight too.
Yeah. Do you know when the last time Max Holloway fought at 155 was?
It's against Dustin Poirier, I believe, right?
Dustin Poirier. Yep. 5 years to the date. Wow. April 13, 2019. Do you think that's a good omen or a bad omen?
I'm not really into omens. I don't believe it. I just
me neither.
So time is time. But I think
there's something there.
There's something there, but Max is such a he's also another big 145er, right? There was one time I was hanging out with him in Hawaii, and the man was like 175, 180. And I'm like, Jesus, bro, how do you make 145, bro? And he goes, I just, I cut the weight. So when I talked to him, he said he put the weight on correctly this time. He was really taking the time to put the weight on and put some strength on. So I'm excited to see how he's going to look when he fights Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, because the thing is about Max as well, never been knocked out, as we know. Only finished the one. Or even dropped. Only finished once by triangle armbar against Dustin Poirier in his UFC debut when he was about 12 years old. As you said, his first time at 155, he took it on about 6 weeks' notice, which isn't even a camp. This time he's had 12 weeks. So I'm assuming, and you know better because you've spoken to him, I'm assuming he's packed on some muscle and stuff like that. And he's even putting it out there that if he's successful against Justin, he might stick around and try and challenge Islam. Yeah,
I mean, why not? Right. I mean, he's been the champion for a very long time at 145. He's beat the greats, Jose Aldo. He's come up short against Alex Volkanovski. So there's a new storyline there. You got Ilia Topuria, he's down at 145, along with Alex Volkanovski still there. But why not? I feel like 155 probably suits his frame a lot better. Right? Like why cut down to 145, put the muscle on, you can actually eat, enjoy yourself. It's going to be able to give you the longevity of your career because you're going to have way more muscle surrounding your joints and more fluid in your brain. So I like that move to 155. He's not like he's a short guy. He's pretty tall. I mean, he's taller than DC and DC's was the heavyweight champion of the world.
They're both 5'11", reaches. No. Sorry, Holloway and Gaethje. They're both 5'11". Okay. It pretty much got the same reach, 79 inch. 80-inch reach. No, 70 for Justin, 69.5 for Max Holloway. So everything's the same. Would you mind giving a prediction in that fight? Or
I'm gonna go with Max. I'm going with my buddy Max. I think Max has the tools to get it done as long as he moves his head. Justin likes to box and throw his leg kicks. Sometimes you see him grapple, but I think this is going to be all on the feet. And I think Max has the better range management. But we'll see. It's a fight. We're going to see what happens.
Yeah, you just never know. I mean, Justin Gaethje does seem to get better and better. Against Fiziev, he looks incredible. Knocked out Dustin Poirier. Yep. What do you think about Justin Gaethje taking this fight? Because there's a lot of talk about Dustin Poirier maybe fighting Islam, and Justin Gaethje's kind of annoyed. Obviously, you got Charles Oliveira, Arman Sarukian as the number one contender as well. And now Justin, who should, by right, be fighting Islam next. He just knocked out Dustin. He's had a great career. But he's fighting Max.
Man, you know how this game goes. People get title fights off of losses, and and it's also the ebbs and flows of when a person's healthy and when a person's not fighting, and who just had a big fight. So right now, Dustin Poirier just knocked out BSD. that's the last thing everybody remembers is that beautiful knockout Dustin just had. Then you look at Justin's about to fight Max Holloway. So Islam needs to fight. So the only person who's healthy enough to be ready to fight Islam is Dustin Poirier. So that's why I think they're going to make that fight. Also, Dustin's a huge draw, even though he got knocked out by Justin Gaethje. Now, for Justin Gaethje, it's just the way the cards are being dealt. And then you also have Charles taking on Arman. That's another fight that's probably the number one contender. So it's some interesting storylines going on with that lightweight division. And it's probably one of the hottest divisions right now in the world with all those big stars.
Yeah, no, it really is. And I'm excited for it. Can't wait. I'm just looking at your record here, 25-4, legendary career. How many title defenses? Just remind the world.
11 consecutive, 12 consecutive, but 11 in the UFC.
Wow. That's unbelievable. It really is. All jokes aside, Demetrious, I've got tremendous respect for you. Out of all those battles that you've had, what is one that you look back and even though you got the win or maybe you didn't get the win, what's one that it's like, wow, that was a grueling day at the office?
I'll say the Kyoto Horiguchi one. That was a grueling one in the office because I remember getting sick on the way over there and just not feeling myself. And I actually watched the fight recently and I looked like shit.
Montreal, Quebec.
Yes, you were there too. And I ended up getting to finish, but that was just one fight I looked back on. And I was like, good Lord, like, what was I doing? Horrible shots, horrible technique. But, not every fight's going to be the best. And I was able to get away with the victory and with a beautiful armbar. Yeah,
I was going to say, come on, man, that finish, that was legendary. Legendary. You've been working on, what was your coach? Matt Hume, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Had you guys been working on that? Had you planned that? Had you seen it in a video game?
Maybe a video game, but no. It was funny. I just listened to Josh Barnett's interview, and he was talking about there's a lot of people who aren't mixed martial artists nowadays. And I was listening to him, I was like, he's right. He's absolutely right. And then what does he mean by that? He was like, when I watch certain fighters, they look like kickboxers. They're just kickboxing. Where for me, I always want to try to embody the full essence of mixed martial arts. Like I'm going to box and then boom, here comes a double leg, or I'm going to clinch, or I'm going to take you down, pass your guard and look like I'm going to submit you. Right. So it's very rare you see a complete mixed martial arts fighter. And for me, when I did that submission against Kyoto Horiguchi, I just wanted to display the full, arsenal of my tool set as a mixed martial artist.
Yeah. I saw that with Josh Barnett yesterday, and I found myself agreeing with a lot of what he had to say. I mean, Josh Barnett's got a great mind, very analytical, incredible career. I mean, the man's incredibly technical, tremendous wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and he's a very, very smart guy. And he's right. And as you just said, like it seems now like the pathway, because a lot of people want to be fighters, you get some striking, not to a specialist level. You learn how to stop a takedown. You learn how to wall walk. You learn how submission defense, and then you go on your merry way trying to become a fighter. Because even when I was doing jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, I would get frustrated because all people would do is stand up. It's like, well, that's not what we're doing right now. What we're doing right now is trying to improve our sweeping, our submitting, and let's refine those skills. Sure, if you're training for a fight and you're fighting a wrestler, you want to get better at getting back to your feet and escaping that, great. But on some random Tuesday when you're not in camp, let's try and get our skills better.
Yes, I totally agree. And that's one of the things that Matt did so well with me. Even when I was getting ready after my fights, Matt will look at my skill set. He goes, dude, your ground game is garbage. Even though you even though you just beat this guy, we're gonna grapple a lot. And I mean a lot. Like I want it embedded in your DNA. And so when I go out there and fight, it's very hard to solve the puzzle how to beat me. Now when I'm going to jiu-jitsu tournaments, they're like, wow, like I grappled, some black belts. I'm like, wow, your knowledge in the gi is actually really, really high. Like I'm actually impressed. And I was like, why? And he was like, because there's a lot of guys in your world that are mixed martial artists that have purple, brown, some even black belts, and they have no idea what they're doing. They're just giving these belts out. And so for me, I take pride in that, right? Like I take pride in knowing my knowledge in all realms of, combat. But then on the flip side, you have a lot of guys who, have a long, extensive, kickboxing career or Muay Thai career or even jiu-jitsu career, and they make the transition over to mixed martial arts because there's just no money in those other sports, right? And, it's kind of counterintuitive because, you're coming from that background. So what do you do? Like if I came from, my background was wrestling. So when I came into mixed martial arts, I spent a long time doing Muay Thai, kickboxing and boxing while still doing jiu-jitsu. So it's a very interesting way to look at that in a perspective of where athletes come from, I guess you can say.
Yeah. Well, no, and you bring up a good point, because guys like Adesanya, like what Josh Barnett was talking about, like he could be a perfect example of that. But Adesanya was one of the very best kickboxers that we'd ever seen. Simple as that,
He had 100 kickboxing fights?
Some in that region.
Yeah, that region.
Yeah, sure. All right. He lost to Pereira twice. No big deal.
Yeah, and so or even let's say Pierre, when you get both those guys, it's okay. We're not going to do kickboxing. We're not going to kickbox at all. We're just going to grapple. We're going to work your wrestling double A, because I want to see you doing that in a fight, right? Where you're 1-2, boom, double A takedown. It's like Valentina Shevchenko is probably one of the athletes that's impressed me for a very long time. Reason why is because she has a Muay Thai background, and she keeps on evolving. She kept on evolving, and she probably is still evolving when she would go out and fight. I remember when she fought a grappler, and then she started throwing the grappler around, and she submitted the grappler. And I'm like, she's a champion that's at the top of her game, and she still continued to get better. Right. Yeah. Granted, she came up short against Grasso, but she's continued to get better. She knows she's a very good kickboxer. She's working on her weakness, and she starts displaying, like, you guys think I'm weak at jiu-jitsu and grappling? Let me show you my jiu-jitsu and grappling. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah, it's interesting though, listening to you talk, because you're a wrestler, right? And the guys we were just talking about there, Izzy and Pereira, excuse me. For the longest time, people always said the best background for mixed martial arts is wrestling. Yep. And it still probably is, but we are seeing people like the two people I just mentioned kind of booking that trend and showing that you don't have to come from, a Division I All-American kind of background to be successful at this sport. And I do actually like that, because number one, I was a striker myself, but that's not why. I think it makes the sport more accessible for a lot of people, because as you know, wrestling at that level, there's only a few people. There's a very, very small elite that can make it that far and that can even enjoy that kind of training.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're a D1 wrestler, I just met a D1 wrestler. He just got out of his whole career of wrestling, and he says, I would never cut weight again, and all I'm going to do is jiu-jitsu. Like, I don't want to get, granted, he's never done mixed martial arts, but about time you've gone through D1 or even Olympic level wrestling, you don't want to jump into mixed martial arts. There's very few and many who do it. And so with kickboxing or Muay Thai, there is no D1 Muay Thai kickboxing. There is no college kickboxing. So once you turn 18 or not even that, even younger, John Haggerty, one of the best kickboxing Muay Thai fighters in the world, his brother, I think he's like 16, 17. He's doing Muay Thai fights. And so imagine he put 5 years into Muay Thai and he goes, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to transition to mixed martial arts because that's where the money is. Then I come to America. I can say I won championship. I go wherever I want. Then he's going to make more money. And he's only, 25 years old. He didn't go through a whole D1 wrestling program.
Yeah, no, good point. Another thing he was talking about was the weight cutting phenomenon, shall we say, which I always say, and I kind of feel it's true, is that kind of was inherited from the wrestling world. Right? Would you agree with that? In the early days of mixed martial arts,
absolutely
dominated by wrestlers, and that was kind of their culture. And then eventually everybody jumps on board, and now it's just the way. That's just the trend. How do you feel about that? Josh Barnett was saying that people are kind of... was he saying that they were cheating or gaming the system or whatever? I think the sport would be a better place if that en masse was kind of not eradicated, but massively reduced. And he even suggested same-day weigh-ins. What's your thought?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at it, I love it, right? Like, granted, did I always cut down to 125 because I'm 5'3"? I walked around 138 pounds fighting guys at 135. When I fought Dominic Cruz for the belt, I was coming home weighing 138 and I was eating whatever I wanted. So I was always a smaller guy in that division. And now being 37 years old, when I do jiu-jitsu, I can either go 141 or I can go 154. Huge jump in weight. But the thing about jiu-jitsu, when you do the gi and you do the tournaments, is you have to weigh in and then you put you in the bullpen. You have to go fight like 30 minutes after you weigh in, which I love that. So I'm like, I'm not cutting down to 141. I'm just not doing it. I'm showing up. I weigh 150 pounds if you beat me because you're bigger, congratulations. And that's how it is. Granted, in mixed martial arts, there's money involved and all that stuff. And I do believe day-in weigh-ins, change the fight clock to 10 minutes. A lot of stuff's going to happen in 10 minutes like it was back in Pride. And, Josh Barnett says, I got to do, I'm up 2 rounds. I'll just skate by this round and I win. It makes sense. And he was also talking about incentivizing, typically now in the world of mixed martial arts, if you lose your first one or your second one, you're pretty much cut. Then you're back down to looking for a fight. And when you get to that fight, you're making 3-3. So it's a very, very hard sport to, make a living in, as you know, and I know. You got to be very lucky and fortunate to be successful in this sport.
I do like the 10-minute rounds. I mean, obviously,
I do. I do.
Yeah,
I do too.
I love the 10-minute rounds because I feel like that's more like a real fight, because if you can't get, we all know at the start of every round, you start back on your feet.
Yep. Start on your feet. And then, 10-minute rounds. That's what I loved about Pride. It's like, okay, first round's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's see. I'm going to put the pressure on you. And when I trained, sometimes when I would train, Matt was very involved in Pride. And sometimes he'll come to the gym. He'd go, all right, guys, Pride rules. You can do, we wouldn't stop on each other's head or soccer kick, but we were like, hey, I kick you in the head and we'll do 10-minute rounds. And it was my favorite round because you can actually get enough time to impose your will on somebody. The distance control, crossing the void, being on them, taking them down, working your submission game. You get time. In a 5-minute round, or even 5-minute round, it's like, okay, round 1 starts. You see a lot of people, they don't even touch each other until like a minute in. They're filling each other out. So, okay, felt you out. Here's a leg kick. Oh, another 30 seconds. All right, 3 minutes left. And then they start fighting. And then it's a grappling exchange. They're on the ground. They're trying to pass each other's guard. Then it's a minute left. Then it's like, oh, the end of the round.
Yeah.
You don't really get nothing.
I mean, I guess, you could argue that implements the ability to use strategy, and start to, come up with a kind of game plan, if you will, etc. I like 10-minute rounds as well because I was never the strongest or even the most technical, but I had a great gas tank. And in the 10-minute round, your opponent's going to get tired. And even though I'm getting dominated for the first 3 minutes, I'm like, keep this up, buddy. Come on. Minute 7 and 8, you're dead.
Exactly. And that is strategy. That is strategy. You look at war, you look at the movie 300. Hey, we're going to block this. We're going to block this this way to our village, and eventually you're going to run out of resources, right? And then that was a strategy, and that battle went on for days and days and days until that slime gave them, when it gets their back. But that's a strategy, right? So I think
Raise
if your strategy,
your shield.
Yeah, exactly, right.
That guy, what was he called?
I don't. Abomination, probably, because he was an abomination in the movie.
We used to have a wrestling coach called Zach Light, and he looked just like him. I swear to God, shout out Zach. He looked just like him. He had the bald head. He was covered in muscles and everything. He was our wrestling coach as well. Oh dear.
I love that. I love that. But I love it. Yeah. I mean, if they switch the rules, I mean, why not? And then sometimes you should be like, hey, this fight card, it's 5-minute rounds all around, right? 5 5-5s and 3 5s. Okay, boom. This fight card, it's 10 5s. That's what it is. Just mixing it up. Don't give people are getting too comfortable, as I feel what Josh Barnett said was that people are getting too comfortable with the rules. And you look at basketball, you look at baseball, they're all set in their ways. But I think with fighting, I think he just wants to see a different change in the rules. Excuse me.
Yeah. And also probably because he fought in Pride for a long time. Yeah. And he had part of his heyday in Pride. So, he sees that type of thing. I remember when I first started watching Pride, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I absolutely loved it.
Me too. It was amazing.
Yeah. I remember just seeing Vanderlei Silva and Shulman just jumping through the air and stomping on people's heads. I was like, what is this shit? This is wild. Sign me up. Take my money. Demetrious, are you still doing a lot of gaming?
Still doing a lot of gaming right now. What am I waiting for? I just started playing Darker and Darker, and I'm still playing Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6.
So what is the big changes in Street Fighter 6? Because I'm still stuck on 2, bro.
Oh, geez. Well, if I explain it to you, you wouldn't know. But, the distance control, making people whiff, understanding when you're safe and you're not, frame data, extending your combinations. They just had a new character named Ed. He is a boxer. That's his background. I mean, the game it's probably game of the year. My personal opinion.
Is game it really? Right okay. Now. I've got to get involved because I always say I love Street Fighter 2, but I'll be honest, the new versions that came out with the extended combos and you could stop like midair and do shit. I was like, what is this? This is too much for my tiny little brain to comprehend. I'm like, it's shit. I don't want to play this. Just give me the old school SNES version. We don't want to take up too much more of your time. You were talking about weights though, Demetrious, and I'm not trying to lead you into anything. So when you compete professional MMA now, what weight are you competing at?
It'll be 135. It'll still be 135. 35. You know, granted, the reason why I'm up so big in weight right now is because my calorie intake is through the roof. Like I make sure I have at least 6 to 7 ounces of protein every single meal besides breakfast. And then I'm also just lifting heavy. Right? Like my cardio is down to a minimum, like where I'm not really focused on going 5-5s right now because I don't have a fight sign and I'm not, looking to fight anytime soon. Just got to do jiu-jitsu. So I'm just trying to keep my weight where it's natural. Like this is natural right now. Like I'm in a good weight where I could just go and fight and compete. Not at my championship weight class, but I'm 37. I'm not trying to be 135 the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So who knows? I might fight at 145. I don't know.
Let's go. Do you ever think about UFC? Do you ever think about a return?
No, God, no. I think I love where the flyweight division is. Even if I was to come back to UFC, I would not go back to flyweight. I'll probably go 135. And even then, I'm, when you've done it I've done it for so long. Yeah. At the highest level, headline UFC cards, headline one championship cards. I'm doing jiu-jitsu tournaments now. The only thing that gets me excited where my heart's like pumping, like before I did this tournament, my heart was racing like a jackrabbit. I told my wife, I was like, I don't know why I do this shit. I'm so nervous right now. She goes, why? And I'm like, I'm about to go compete. And the reason why I love it is because
that's what keeps you alive and it makes you feel alive.
Exactly. That's what she said. She goes, that heart beating like that, you're alive right now, babe. That's what we love to chase. And when I would do mixed martial arts, I wouldn't feel that anymore because, it's like, okay, I'm fighting this guy. I have 8 weeks to prepare for him. And then it is what it is. With this, it's like, hey, I'm going to the jiu-jitsu tournament. I have no idea who's in my bracket. I have no idea what game they're going to play. Is it Delihiva? Is it Lasso? Is it Worm? Is it Squid Guard? Are they judo player? Like when I competed at Worlds last year, I had one guy who tied me about Lasso. One guy was a judo guy. One guy was great off his back. So I'm getting all these puzzles in one day, and I love that excitement. And one day that might, extinguish. But, until then, I'm going to keep it running, baby.
Yeah, and that's what I miss. And I understand why fighters come out of retirement. And of course, a lot of fighters have to do it for financial reasons as well. But I must admit, I was last week, because I miss it. I do. I don't miss the training. I don't miss all the rest of it, but I miss the challenge. Yes. I miss having the objective, flying to the other side of the world, getting ready with my team, with my boys, the camaraderie, and the challenge of it all. And can I prevail? I missed that challenge. And I was like, do you know what? I'm pretty sure. I almost text Perillo, my coach. I was like, I reckon I could get a fight like somewhere like fucking Japan or somewhere like that. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, no, stop it. And I mentioned it to my wife the other night. She went, no, it's done. I'm like, well, babe, I love commentating. I love it. But I'm going out my mind here. I was put on this earth for one reason only. And sitting here doing this podcast is not doing it for me. I miss it. Speaking of which, and we'll let you go in a second, you spoke about your children there. Mixed martial arts gave me a rich life, and I don't mean financially. It has made me a very, very happy, content human being. I'm assuming the same for you, right? You have a fantastic lifestyle. How do you feel about your children? A, doing martial arts, which I'm assuming you're definitely a proponent of, but B, if they were to say they wanted to be a professional fighter. Yeah,
so A, they all three do jiu-jitsu. I feel jiu-jitsu and grappling and wrestling is probably the strongest suit to pursue mixed martial arts. So I'm already planting the seeds. I'm already trying to build a good foundation. My son is going to do soccer, and then Tyron's going to do track. So I'm working on that athletic ability so they can become, great cardio and understand how to explode and sprint. So I'm already planting the seeds there. That way, if they do want to do mixed martial arts, they're getting a head start than I did, because I didn't start training until I was wrestling, which was 8th grade in middle school. And, I think my oldest son, he's going to be a pilot. He loves aviation. So that's going to provide him with I guess you say he could travel the world and do jiu-jitsu, right? That's the cool thing I love about jiu-jitsu is that he's trained in Florida. He's trained in Las Vegas. He's competing in Las Vegas. He's going to try to compete all around the world. My daughter, I have no idea what she's going to do, but will I try to tell them to pursue mixed martial arts? Honestly, it depends where the money's at. Right. Like, you know, it depends where the money's at. Like
the risk versus the reward.
Exactly. Like if my son becomes a pilot, he gonna make more money than half the motherfuckers, probably 85% of the people who do mixed martial arts at professional level, right? If you calculate how many times they fight, how many hours he works, if he makes six figures, you know, he's gonna make more money than those guys. And he's gonna be able to do it till he's 65 years old, and it's gonna be a better payout. Yeah, we'll have to see. But right now, if I have to choose one of my kids who would be successful at fighting from where they stand now, I'll probably say it'd be my middle son, because he can mentally think through things.
Yeah, and as we all know, that is a big part of it. My oldest son, Callum, he was a wrestler. He's just got his first job right now. He graduated college, but he's talking about doing aviation college. Coming out of it. I'm like, oh, really? Really? You get your first job and already you want to go back to school? You're sticking that out for a little bit. But it's funny because my youngest, Lucas, he trains mixed martial arts with a very, very good coach, Ben Jones. Shout out Ben. And just last night, because I'm trying to get him his first kickboxing fight. He does wrestling, he does jiu-jitsu, he does mixed martial arts, as I say, but his best thing is kickboxing. He's lanky, he's fast, he's speed, he's got bloody incredible power. So I reached out to Technical Bouts Technical Bouts PMT on Instagram. I'm trying to find him some like up and coming fights. Do you know any organizations? Because obviously I grew up in the UK.
How old is your son?
13.
Oh, I don't know. You're at I have no idea. 13 years old.
Yeah. Well, the 13-year-olds. But the thing is this, being my son, they better not set him up. You know what I mean? He turns up. No, but he's going to have a problem. He's going to have a target on his back. Like your son, if you sign up and go, right, it's Mighty Mouse, it's the champ, it's the 11-time champ, 12 if you count the other one, you know, double champ. Yeah. I'm the man, the mighty cast. Out doing the Believe You Me podcast in a big way.
I'm not.
Anyway, we've got I've got a son. I want him to get a fight. You know, straight away they're like, oh, let's get the best guy. Or it could go the other way with let's get him an easy win. And keep him coming back to the show.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing too that another coach told me is that if your son is good enough, the competition will find him. Meaning that, you know, like your son, he's doing kickboxing, wrestling. He's trying to do kickboxing matches. He's yearning for the competition. He's seeking out. He's like, Dad, I want to fight. So you don't have to be like, hey, son, you should fight. You're like, hey, I'll help you on this journey because I've gone through it. And him being 13 years old, I don't know a lot of organizations that do at that age. I think I have to go to Russia, my friend. They'll get him a fight ASAP in Russia.
We'll get him a fight. I'll get a fight. And there we go. He was there when because I got that Instagram page from one of the kids at the gym. I say a kid. He's a young man. I shouldn't say kid. Shout out Pierce. So I messaged him straight away. And my son was like, oh, I guess I'm fighting soon. I'm like, dude, relax. You've only been doing it 18 months or 2 years or so. Demetrious, before we let you go, we're going to ask you a couple of questions. Harrington, are you there? And do we have any questions from the believers for one of the greatest of all goddamn time?
Okay. So this one I thought was fun. Daryl M says, after subbing a 250-pound man in competition, how many of the current top 15 UFC heavyweights does Mighty Mouse think he could genuinely submit in a submission-only fight?
Ooh. We're not fighting each other, just punching heavyweight. So that's 265. Oh Lord, that's bigger than other guy.
Oh God.
Oh man, it's hard, you know. Like I have to look at the.
Do you want the heavyweight rankings?
I bet you I get. I bet you I get Derek Lewis. I bet you I get his ass. I bet you I get him.
Oh,
you know, I feel like I could probably get at least, you know, 6 of them. I feel comfortable saying 6 out of them.
Okay, that's good. I like that answer. I like the confidence as well. I'm sure they would have something to say about it.
Black crushes little ass.
You're muted.
Sorry.
How many Harringtons could you beat up for me at once? Because every single episode, the guy's on mute for crying out loud. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier Street Fighter 6 current favorite game. Somebody wants to know, what is your all-time favorite game?
Man, all-time favorite game. That's a hard one because there's so many damn games out there. But if I had to go on a limb and I got stuck on an island with Michael, I'll probably pick Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
If you got stuck on an island with me, that'd be bad. It'd be bad.
I know you just slandered me the whole time.
Oh God, give us one more, Harrington, please, and then we'll let the great Demetrious get on his way. You're muted again. Wow. See what I'm saying, Demetrious? You see what I'm saying? It's like, it's not even a bit at this point. It's like, listen, it's fun because we're laughing. Everyone always says I'm really mean to him. I'm like, dude, we just told you. Oh my God. Anyway, please, Harrington.
Okay. Corey Miller wants to know, who is your favorite fighter to watch right now?
Favorite fighter to watch? Probably Charles Olivera. I enjoy watching him fight. I enjoy bringing on his fights. He always brings it. You know, he goes out there to kill or to be killed. He does not care. I mean, I think he does, but the way he fights, he just goes, man. And I love it. I think it's very exciting.
He's definitely one of those guys you can't miss anytime he fights. He's probably, I think he's the most exciting guy in the UFC for sure. I've got one more question for you, and then I will let you go. Sugar Sean O'Malley, if you came back 135, what do you think of Sean?
He's great. I think, and I told Sean this too. I said, Sean, your greatest asset is your mobility and your feints, and to go from southpaw to orthodox, to go fight going forward and going backwards. Right. And he's also like 6'2", I believe. So for me to fight him, it would be, I know, I just like to do that. It's kind of like my joke, right? 5'11". So for me to get across the void, to get in the right position to be able to land a strike, it'll be extremely hard. But I think he's a great champion. And I think he's got some real good fighters that can challenge him. Merab's another one. Umar Nurmagomedov is another one. So there's some good fights for him that I'm looking forward to see how he adjusts to those type of styles, because Chito's a great fighter. He's a little bit slower to get the fight going. But when he started to fight Sugar, that's when he had the most success. Yeah. And, Merab's a different type of style fight. And so is Umar Nurmagomedov, is a different style fight. So we'll see. It's the Sugar Show right now. We'll see how long the train keeps on going.
Yeah. And then actually, I do have one more. How does it make you feel? And I'm sorry, I keep saying it.
No, you're fine, man.
Seeing now, the lighter weight classes, there's massive stars breaking out. Sugar Sean O'Malley's a star. We've got Taporia, obviously, at 125, Alejandro Pantoja, but there's a big focus on the lighter weight classes. As a guy that fought in the UFC at 125 many years ago now, maybe it was kind of a little bit overlooked, and at one point they weren't even there. And then I think under 55 was eradicated. Do you sit there kind of as a proud godfather in some ways?
Absolutely. I want all these guys to have the opportunity to make as much money as possible and have as many eyeballs on them as well. Like Alex Pantoja, I'm very happy for him. Same thing with Sugar Sean O'Malley and Ili Taporia. And I want those guys to keep getting eyeballs and building their brand while they're doing it, right? Because eventually they're not going to be a champion. The sport's going to pass them by. And I feel like for myself, I've been doing a good job about building my brand. I got the podcast. I'm still out there doing jiu-jitsu, creating content, doing videos that are going viral just going out there having fun. So I'm super happy for those guys, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for them.
Well, Demetrious, thanks for your time. I hope you're still not firing any blanks. We don't want any more accidents. We don't want any more mighty mice running around. Demetrious, thank you for your time. I owe you one. Anytime you want me on yours, you know what to do. Just shoot me a text, brother. Good luck in the near future, and I will see you soon, brother.
Appreciate you, Mike. Appreciate you, man.
My man, take care.
Bye.
All right, this episode is sponsored by Optimizers, that basically specialize in giving you all the magnesium that you need. Because when you go out there, you probably see everywhere, a lot of people, they are deficient in magnesium, okay? And it is a key nutrient, mineral, should I say, that you need in your body, and particularly to help you get a great night's sleep. It reduces anxiety, and there's a bunch of other great reasons why you need magnesium. But a lot of magnesium only have one form of magnesium. The magnesium magnesium from Bioptimizers has all 7 kinds. Magnesium plays a key role in regulating your body's stress response system. It also helps increase GABA, which encourages relaxation on a cellular level, which helps you get the sleep that you need, the deep sleep, the REM sleep. And as I said before you go out and buy any magnesium, you got to understand most only have 1, at best 2 forms of magnesium, when the reality is your body needs all 7 forms, okay? That is why I recommend Magnesium Breakthrough. Magnesium Breakthrough contains all 7 forms of magnesium designed to help calm your mind and help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. And by the way, you're going to have some crazy lucid dreams. Me and Rebecca, we take the total magnesium, the Magnesium Breakthrough, should I say, every single night before we go to bed. We're sleeping like a baby, and the dreams, they are out of control. Okay, so anyway, but more importantly, there is great health benefits, and you will sleep deeply and feel refreshed the next day. Visit magbreakthrough.com/BYM and place your order now. In addition to the discount you get by using the code BYM, there is always amazing gifts with the purchase. That's why you're going to love shopping at Bioptimizers. One more time, get your magnesium, all 7 kinds. Get it at magbreakthrough.com/BYM to get the magnesium breakthrough that you need, and also find out what this month's surprise gift will be. All right. So anyway, Demetrious Johnson out, Mike Harrington in. Mike, how the hell are you, brother?
I'm good. I wish I was doing half as good as DJ, if I'm being honest.
Well, you're doing great. You're doing great, buddy. Speaking of doing great things, Brendan Allen, right? He's fighting in the main event this weekend against Chris Curtis, the action man. Brendan Allen, I think he's on, what is it, a 6-fight win streak or a 6-fight win streak? 5 of those 6 wins have all end via rear naked choke. Now, this is, I mean, that's a phenomenal stat in itself, you know. And it's funny because when I spoke to Brendan Allen, he said, I don't do anything great, but I do everything good. And I said to him, I said, well, I think you take people's back great. You choke people out pretty great. But he is an extremely talented mixed martial artist. However, out of his 2 losses in the UFC, 1 to Sean Strickland and 1 to Chris Curtis. They are, of course, training partners. I expect Sean Strickland to be in the building on Saturday night. And I expect if Brendan Allen gets a win to call out Sean Strickland. I would expect him to do that. However, Chris Curtis got the win the first time round. In the first fight, Brendan Allen was looking smooth. He was landing kicks. He was doing well, but it only takes 1 shot. And that shot on that occasion was a body shot from Chris Curtis, hit the body with a massive left hook to the body, and then right hook over the top, wobbled Brendan Allen, and that was the beginning of the end. So it's a great fight this weekend in the main event, a good night of fights as well, and I'll be commentating, so I can't give a prediction. However, I did see Chris Curtis talking to the media this week, and he was talking about fouls in mixed martial arts, and he said something along the lines of, I've had 40 fights, never fouled anyone, and it was actually a really, really interesting piece. Brian, roll tape, please.
God damn, he's just the dirtiest who's ever fought, I've seen fight. Like, guys, I've got 41 fights, and like, I don't think I've ever been called for an eye poke. I don't think I've headbutted anybody. I haven't, everybody's accidental nut kick, whatever. I've never kicked a downed opponent. How do you do this shit back to back, like every fight? Like, my God, like, you're either dirty or stupid. All right. So like, that's just one of those, you're either dirty or dumb. Like, I don't know which one you pick, but Jesus, I can go most of my career without gouging people's eyes, headbutts and all that, but he does this shit every single fight. So like, what the
Yeah. I mean, of course, he's talking about Nasruddin Imavov there in that particular clip. That's who he's talking about. But I thought the fact, in a general, broader conversation, is the fact that he's had 41 fights and never done that. And of course, this ties into a lot of eye pokes recently, a lot of eye pokes last weekend. Chris Weidman against Bruno Silva, all the rest of it.
Did you see Chris Weidman's eye after the fight?
I did, actually. That was red as red can be. Look at that. Is that legit his eye? Because that looks like the Terminator's.
I've seen this posted a few places. That
is nasty
claim that I have of it. But
yeah. No, I mean, wow, incredible. What's your take on what Curtis said?
I do think look, I think for a long time, people in the sport have been saying, hey, if the ref isn't going to call this foul immediately, if they're not going to deduct point immediately, you might as well go in there and try to get one off. And it's like, I don't know, for certain guys, if you never face the consequence of having a point taken away from you because you have your fingers out and that's kind of part of your style and it's how you came up on the regional scene and they weren't calling it there either, I can't really take away from the fighter. Chris Curtis didn't come up that way, so it's just different.
Yeah, on Monday, I did say that I didn't believe that any fighter goes out there and looks to intentionally eye-poke people. However, when Chris said that, I'm not saying I reevaluate my stance. However, it does make me think, you know what I'm saying? Because I had a lot of fights, and granted, I think the only time I poked somebody in the eye, and sadly, it was quite a bad one. It was a fight-ending situation. It was kind of like Chris Weidman versus Silva at the weekend, was against Alan Belcher. Newark, New Jersey, Prudential Center. Third round was a nasty eye poke, and he couldn't continue. So we went to the scorecards, just like Wyman's situation. That wasn't intentional, and I don't think Chris's was intentional. And certainly, to back up the referee, Gary Copeland, certainly looks like Chris Weidman got poked in the eye there as well. But Curtis saying in 41 fights, he's never fouled anybody. There is some people that do need to have better control of their weapons.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, if that is like, you've seen it with John Jones for years, like if that is part of your game and nobody's stopping it, you know what I mean? Who's ever going to correct you?
Well, I lost you for a second there, so I don't know what you said, but it's quite all right. I think I can deduce it. But you're right. Anyway, Chris Curtis, Brendan Allen, what is your pick? I think that this is, I think on paper, Brendan Allen has got more skills. But as we saw in the first fight, one shot changes everything, and he does have power, right? Chris Curtis is a very accomplished guy. He's got great training partners as well. But Brendan Allen is on a roll. What's your pick, please?
I think he bounced back pretty strong from those two, lost to those two, and he did change his style to be so much more smothering, going for those rear naked chokes at the cost of everything else. So I'm going to say that he's made the adjustments in his game plan to overcome Chris Curtis, and I do like Brendan Allen in this fight.
Yeah. Hey, and listen, I call out over Sean Strickland. It seems like I'm calling everybody to fight Sean Strickland. Basically, what I'm saying is Sean Strickland needs to fight somebody, and there's somebody in Brendan Allen with history. Weidman, I said that as well. He's a former champion that'll make a good fight. And who was the other one that I said as well? There was another one that I said recently. Wasn't Drickus, wasn't Izzy. Doesn't matter.
Hamzat. You wanted Hamzat to fight him.
No.
You want Whitaker. Sorry.
Whitaker's fighting Hamzat, but never mind. Saturday night, Alexander Hernandez versus Damon Jackson in the co-main event, and a good night of fights from top to bottom. I will be at the Apex Harrington. Give me a mixed martial arts story, please.
Okay, I think one of the biggest things in the news this week, Charles Oliveira's coach came out. He said that looking at the landscape, with a win over Arman Sarukian at UFC 300, he would actually pass up a rematch with Islam Makhachev for the title to focus on a Conor McGregor fight, assuming Conor McGregor comes back and gets a win.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting soundbite. That's an interesting headline. I understand. Everybody wants that red panty night. I think he'd be waiting for a while, though. If Michael Chandler's taught us anything, I wouldn't wait on the sidelines for that McGregor matchup. But let's just assume it was there for the taking. I understand what he's saying. But if you become champion of the world, right? You become champion of the world. You've got nothing but big fights coming your way. However, would any of them be anything near a Conor McGregor payday, even as a champion? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? So I understand him saying that. And UFC 300 is just around the corner. Can't wait for that fight card. Going to be in Vegas all week with the TNT Sports guys. We got Power Slap. I got ESPN. We got YouTube interviews. We got the BYN podcast. We got a full week of media stuff. Are you going to be watching UFC 300, Harrington?
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't miss it. I think we're actually going to do a little live stream here at Gas Digital. A bunch of guys hanging out.
There you go. Right. So the people of California, there was a new bill protecting them from their what's the word I'm looking for? Their slave driver bosses.
So if a boss is cracking the whip after hours, this new bill in California would say you have the legal right to ignore them. You don't have to return emails, pick up your phone. If your boss is reaching out to you, that's on them. And if you want to answer the phone, by all means, but you should have the option to relax with your family and have some unwinding time.
Yeah, no. But the part that you're leaving out is that it says that the employers can be fined. The employers can be fined for hassling their employees after hours, right? Which I get and I don't get. You know what I mean? Are you ambitious? Do you want to grow? Do you want to get to the top of the ladder? Do you want to work your way up the company? You know, because if so, you know, you got to be ambitious. Granted, if you're doing some mundane task where you never have to be bothered, I understand that. And if your boss is calling you at night and driving you up the wall and giving you shit for something you did that day, if you're working on a building site and he's calling you at 10 o'clock at the night and saying, why the f- didn't you clean out that cement mixer? You know what I mean? All right, maybe they've got a point. But, you know, listen. And then on the flip side, I hate it. Listen, Americans, you guys, you don't respect business hours. In the UK, nobody calls anyone before 9 a.m. and nobody calls after 5 p.m. Okay, or certainly when I lived there anyway, right? You guys call first thing in the morning. Hi, hello, this is such and such. I got bloody leaf blowers operating at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning. I'm like, it is not in business hours, guys. What the f- is going on?
I will routinely text you and say, hey, Mike, hope you're enjoying your coffee. Notes are out if you want to check them.
Yeah. I'm like, bro, leave me alone. It's not in work hours. Brian, what is your take on all this, please? I'm sure you have a take.
Well, California's doing a really good job of destroying their industry entirely. With this $20 minimum wage plus not able to contact your employees after hours, they're really putting the squeeze on employers in particular, and they're just going to have a robot labor force in California before long. Like, nobody's going to be able to employ anybody.
So you just brought up the $20 minimum wage, and I think that's in California and in New York. And I know you're going to say that they're the blue states, but I think is there not some benefit to that? You know, and this is for Uber drivers, I believe. Uber is a gigantically successful company. The minimum wage before for them was something like $5.19. Now that's a jump to $20 plus tips. I think that's an incredible thing, certainly when you're given the current economy that we live in and how hard it is for people to buy a house or just pay the goddamn bills.
I don't believe a company is going to cut their bottom line to pay their employees more. They'll just cut employees.
And they'll also pass the pricing on to the consumer.
Yeah, you're right. But how much of an impact are we really going to see? Is it going to be like $1 per ride?
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Look at what Wendy's was saying. They were going to do surge pricing on their burgers. Like McDonald's, like a Happy Meal is like $10. You know, like that. Yeah. This is the kind of thing that we're looking at. Yeah. It's just going to get large. I mean, if you look at the history of hyperinflated countries, like it does happen overnight. Venezuela went from being a very rich country to having literally paper in the street, like their dollars in the streets, because they were worth less than leaves.
Yeah, no. I understand the point that you're making. However, $5 an hour in this modern day and age, with the cost of living, with inflation, with the cost of everything, that is ridiculously low and needs to be increased. Now, granted, yes, they get tips.
The argument could be made that that's not a long-term career, and it shouldn't be a job for a serious adult human who has job prospects. Not to say that people don't have like situations, but it shouldn't be your goal to be an Uber driver.
Yeah, but a lot of people that have picked me up on Uber have been lovely people. They've been respectable people, just like doing a side gig, right? And their time is, by the way, this is not me being liberal, Bisping and all the rest of it. I'm just saying that, you know, people need to be paid fairly. You know what I'm saying? And people doing a side gig, that's still their time. If somebody's semi-retired and they want to do that, again, their time needs to be paid accordingly. You know, otherwise, if they can't pay the bills and they're doing a fair job and they're giving their time, they're doing an honest day's work, and granted, and there's a lot of people, driving's a great job. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's a very respectable day's work, driving people around. We all need it. There's taxi drivers, limo drivers, Uber drivers, bus drivers, airline pilots. That's a little bit different, to be fair. But you know what I'm saying? Because $5 an hour in this day and age, you can't do jack shit with that.
But this was never meant to be a career thing, right? Uber decided this was a good idea in theory. You got a guy going from San Francisco to LA. You got to bring a lamp from San Francisco to LA. Give it to that guy. He'll bring it down there. That was the concept. it since became a thing where they started credit programs and selling people cars, leasing them, and then, taking that off the top of their Uber money cut, like all this to scale a business to a point beyond where it's sustainable right now. Now you have this model where almost no one I know can afford Ubers regularly, and you're going to just jack that price up even more because now it's $15 more an hour to get a driver on the road.
Well, you would feel very differently if either of you were Uber drivers, if either of you had family members that were Uber drivers and supported a household, if you were a young single mother that when the kid was at school were out there driving Uber in your spare time because you can fit and choose the hours in between and do it at your convenience because you're trying to pay bills, because you're trying to buy formula for your baby, you're trying to pay some gas or the heating bill so you can have the fire on over Christmas or over winter. Do you know what I'm saying? The gigantic corporations, they can afford it, man. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, but they don't have to deal with people. They can't, like, a lot of these companies can just go robotic at this point. Like McDonald's, there's plenty of fully automated McDonald's that just don't want to pay people, so they don't.
Yeah. No. I've seen that argument, and I've also seen that AI are going to take away all the jobs. I've also seen the argument that
themselves, Uber drivers don't exist.
Yeah, well, cars are going to fly themselves. We were going to do a story a couple of weeks ago, Hamilton, weren't we? Flying taxis in London. They're kicking off, I think, in Saudi Arabia or Dubai in a couple of years. Flying taxis. It's insane. I tell you what, if I've got a guy flying me around in a Uber, I want a robot doing it. I don't want someone on $5 or $20. And I want an artificial intelligence program taking me to my destination safely. I understand what you're saying, that the economy is going to collapse. People are going to collapse. People are going to be homeless if they are not paid in according to inflation, because that doesn't happen.
But then
I get it.
The more of those people making $20 an hour, when there are people in other fields making less than $20 an hour, you're just driving the price up to them.
What they do, just because you're not getting paid that well at gas, Harrington, you can't hate on everybody. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with people getting paid decently. I think that's a great thing. I think, and certainly if a company like Uber can afford it, which they can, just look up, Brian, if you don't mind, what is Uber worth? Right, what do they make? And I'm sure a lot of these tech companies actually run at a deficit, but they're still worth a lot of money. They can afford to pay $20 an hour. That's for damn sure. Come on, Harrington, stop picking on the little guy. A man driving an Uber as a grown man, that wasn't his dream. When he was a kid, he never thought, do you know what I want to do? I'm going to have a part-time side hustle for Uber. Let's go. No, but he's trying to make the best of it. He's trying to keep little Timmy in clothes and shoes when he goes to school, Brian?
I just there's a value for money situation that happens when you do work, and I don't believe that you should be able to buy a house off of driving an Uber, especially in today's economy. It's just it's not important enough. You're not creating anything. You
wouldn't be able to buy a house on a $20 an hour salary.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to.
I'm saying,
I don't think that's. Listen, I'm being flippant and I'm joking. You know what I'm saying when I'm talking about little Timmy and all the rest of it.
No, sure.
But you're just trying to help out the little guy. I don't see the big issue with this. The company's being forced to pay a fair share, and it's $20 an hour. In the grand scheme of things, it's not like they're getting crazy stuff.
Well,
you know what I mean?
They're just going to see less purchasing, and they're going to have less employees. That's what's
get a taxi. Well, the taxi companies are going to be very happy then, because they're going to be back in business. Remember all the taxi companies complaining about Uber taking all their work,
and now there's no taxi companies.
Well, Uber's way better. It's a way better service. You don't have to get into a smelly car, someone that's just thrown up. You haven't got a rude driver. I got a taxi in New York once. The guy scared me to death. He wouldn't respond to me. He was like some crazy psychopath and just drove as fast as he could in a straight line, went through some red lights. I was banging on the glass going, hey, what are you doing? And me and Rebecca were in the back, terrified. Then he just pulled over and he goes, $20. And I was like, all right, paid him. And then that was it. I was like, this guy's round the bend, man, round the bend. All right, today's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp that are going to get you the help that you need. And we're talking about mental help. We're talking about mental health. And yes, there is a big spotlight on mental health. Yet a lot of people, they still won't take that first step. They still feel the stigma, or they still feel like I don't know, a lesser man or a lesser woman. They're like, I can get through this. I can tough it out. Well, the reality is speaking to a licensed professional is going to help. Whatever your issue is, right? Maybe you're a bad-tempered bastard like me. Maybe you've got addiction issues, substance abuse issues. Maybe you're drinking too much. Who knows what your issue is? Maybe you're riddled with anxiety. Speaking to one of the licensed professional therapists at BetterHelp will help you get onto the journey of becoming the best version of yourself. And by the way, it's super easy and convenient. There's no driving across town. There's no finding a parking space. If you don't get along with your therapist, you can switch at any time with no cost. You just fill out a brief questionnaire and you will get matched with a licensed therapist. And as I say, you can switch anytime for no additional charge. So right now, listen, if there's something, if you're thinking to yourself, I want to speak to someone, and you've probably been thinking this for a very long time, well, it's your lucky day. All you got to do is go to betterhelp.com/believe and you will get 10% off the first month. I've said this before, and this is true. Do it for yourself, but also do it for your loved ones, because your loved ones are probably suffering the same amount as you, right? They know what your issue is, right? And they wish you had the help that is required. Well, that help is available to you. So right now, go to betterhelp.com/believe to get 10% off your first month. betterhelp.com/believe. Anyway, should we talk about something mixed martial arts?
Yeah, sure.
What have we got? So Piotr Jan, no, and a big thanks, by the way, to Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson. What an absolute legend he is. So Sean O'Malley and Merab Develishvili. These two are on a collision course 2025, according to Sean O'Malley. They've both been putting out a lot of videos. We know Merab Develishvili has got a great sense of humor. And his videos actually have pretty high production levels as well. And he put out a couple. I think there was one last week and one this week. And the stand-in for Sean O'Malley that they have is very, very convincing. Let's take a look, Brian, please.
2025. My name is Nadur Rashid. Bro, learn to read and speak English. Sean O'Malley, I want to fight with him. So, yo, Sean O'Malley, keep smoking. I will keep training. Now we'll see who's better.
I mean, Merab's next.
Let's go. Let's fight now.
Oh, God. There was a more recent one that I thought was actually better. Have you got that one, Brian, by any chance? He put it out today, I think, where O'Malley's just smoking and he's picked him up. He's got him over his shoulder and he takes him back to his house and giving him some training and stuff. Let me ask you this question, Howard. Do you think all this stuff, them two going back and forth, making these videos, do you think these videos will make that fight any bigger? Because O'Malley's a massive star. And yeah, people love a bit of promotion and all the rest of it. But I don't necessarily know if that's going to convert into the fight being more popular, more people watching. Merab's got the country of Georgia behind him, as well as his fans all over the world. Sean O'Malley's got, a lot of fans in general. I don't think you need this stuff, but I think it's just Merab stating his case, having fun with it, and just, getting through his day.
I got the one from today.
Oh, go on. Let's have a look, man. We've got nothing better to talk about.
Oh, hey, Merab, what are you doing? Bro, I find that this guy in Arizona, he was smoking too much. I'm going to take you to my garage now, and I'm going to train him.
Have you not seen this, Harrington?
Oh, is that Sean?
Yeah, that's him, bro. It's hard to recognize because he's smoking too much.
Yeah, I understand. Good luck.
Thanks. We have lots of work to do. See you, bro.
See you.
Good luck, Sean. Sean, listen, bro. Listen. You have a big fight. You're fighting me, bro. You gotta stop smoking, my friend. Listen, I want to make you train. You gotta stop this.
It gets a little bit, not boring now, but we kind of get the idea. I like it, though. I like this stuff. In this modern day and age, that's a great way to, not talk shit about your opponent. Just generate interest in the fight.
I think two people who became, Sean O'Malley became a superstar last year officially. Ilia Topuria, superstar earlier this year. I think both those guys cemented. But the people's champs, I feel like Merab and Sean Strickland from March of 2023 to April of 2024, massive upgrade. And people are invested in Merab. They want to see Merab fight. And these videos showing a little bit of his personality was really the start of that, right? Him grabbing the jacket, everything he's done has just made him a fan favorite. He gets some of the biggest pops you'll see when they go to the fighters in the crowd at these big events. People are super excited for this. And it's like, this is an actual test for O'Malley, and people know that.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you look at the actual matchup on the feet, of course, O'Malley is leaps and bounds ahead of him. I'll say it again, against Cheeto, that was one of the best displays of striking we've seen in a very long time. I'm not going to say ever, but he looked ridiculously good. On the flip side, Merab, with the wrestling, so it's kind of, it's not striker versus grappler, but you can pretty much say that without sounding like a fool. So it's going to be interesting. Also, there is Corey Sandhagen out there as well. Did we talk about Dricus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya on Monday?
So we talked about it being in Perth and those being the rumors. Nothing since du Plessis put out that thing on Instagram this week.
Okay. Yeah, I just see that you got in the notes there about Adesanya. And that du Plessis said that he would not want to fight the king of Africa on African soil. All right, well, there's not much of a talking point there. We went through it on Monday. What else have we got? Should we do another non-MMA then?
Yeah. So this was interesting. Inmates in New York, they are, I believe it's at Rikers Island, are petitioning, saying that because they're going to be on lockdown during the solar eclipse next Monday, it's going to be violating some of their religious freedoms, right?
And I agree. This is ridiculous. Yes, they've got to give them not $20 an hour. They've got to give them $30 an hour. And if you commit a heinous crime so bad that you get locked up and you're going to take away their right to see a solar eclipse, what is going on? No, that is not the situation. I'm taking the piss before you all come at me in the comment section. What the is going on? And is this getting any kind of traction? Brian, just let me know. Is there any kind of traction to this? Here's the thing. If you commit a crime and you're going to go to prison, well, unfortunately, your rights go out the goddamn window. You are a prisoner of the state. You are deemed unfit to be walking the streets where the public are, okay? And if you get to miss a solar eclipse, one, who gives a shit anyway? They're always overrated, okay? And two, well, tough shit. Shouldn't have done the crime. Simple as that.
Well, I mean, they're saying it violates religious freedoms, where it's like, I don't know exactly what part of what religion the eclipse is, but some people are claiming there is religious significance. And it's like, I'm not a fan of taking away anyone's constitutional rights. I don't know.
Well, no. If you're a criminal, rights are going to be taken away, and that's fine. I'm sorry. If you go out and you murder someone, the world's gone crazy these days. If you go out there, I don't know, let's just say you go, all you got to do is go on Twitter or look at the news and you're seeing crimes, murders, nonstop, all day, every single day. If you're one of those pieces of shit that's going out there, shooting people, killing people, raping people, murdering people, anything like that. Well, unlucky, buddy. Unlucky. You're a piece of shit, rot in your cell. And in fact, that's even getting off lightly, if you ask me.
Fair enough. I mean, if you lose the right to vote, you probably should lose the right to see the solar eclipse.
You lose the right to pretty much everything. If you don't get the death sentence, okay, then you lose the right to have a say in anything. Brian, what have you got to say?
I was just going to say, like, you don't get out of jail to go to Mecca if you're Muslim. Like, it's not your religious freedom to go see a thing. You could pray.
No.
That's fine, you know? They're telling you they're not going to tell you can't pray in prison, but they are going to say, no, you can't go outside, you idiot.
Yeah, no, it's just that is wild. That is wild. And I feel like I'm counterbalancing what will be interpreted as wokeness for defending the $20. Poor people need money. There's a lot of people struggling in this world. And you know this, Harrington.
Yeah,
what would you have said?
In the mirror.
Yeah, but if you were homeless and some prick on a podcast is going, no, don't give them $20 an hour. What would you say?
I would say, I don't know, that to me is the one argument where it's like, if you can take a job with Uber Eats on a bicycle and make $20 an hour, to not be homeless anymore, then yeah, that's the kind of guy who should be having that gig. But the amount of people I see on bicycles in New York City, Michael, who are about to be making $20 an hour, it's you are about to decimate the already fragile economy of New York City.
Why are bicycle riders about to make $20 an hour?
Because it's Uber Eats.
Right. Well, they're working very hard. They're pushing those little legs. They're running up those stairs. They're waiting in line. They're going and grabbing the orders. What the fuck? We've already had this conversation. So we're not going to go through it. But solar eclipses. Brian, join the chat, please, because Harrington's a little overexposed over there. Have you ever seen an eclipse, boys?
Yeah. When I was a kid, why is my alarm going off?
I remember at school, they take you outside and then you got to wear your special glasses and all the rest of it. They're shit. They are definitely overrated.
It seems very dangerous to go out and voluntarily look at the sun, even if you do have crazy glasses on.
I did it. I'm fine. I was going to say my vision's fine. I looked at an eclipse and I can still see.
I grew up on Western media where they give you superpowers. So it's like if there's a 0.1% chance I'll get a superpower from looking at the eclipse, I might as well try it. Plus, I don't know, man. It's just dark in the middle of the day. That's cool.
Well,
there are quite a few weird religious undertones for this eclipse as well.
Is there really? Like what? Please tell me.
I'm afraid to.
Oh, come on.
No.
Come on, Brian.
All right, cool. So they are planning on sacrificing red heifers in Israel during the eclipse to bring about the third coming of the Temple of Solomon. I feel like that's a little weird.
That's definitely weird. Keep them coming.
Yeah. I mean, there's like all sorts of weird things that are happening around this. They're turning CERN on. They're turning the Large Hadron Collider on during the eclipse.
Are they
They're
really?
firing rockets into space for 3 rockets into space for some reason. It's just like a lot of activity going on around this.
Rebecca's going to join because I want to get her take. Not on the red heifers being sacrificed and all the rest of it. Give us a 2-shot or a 1-shot.
Oh, hang on, I'm tangled.
Harrington and Brian are very, very much against.
Against what?
Uber drivers. Would you like to sit on my knee, or would that be definitely? Go on, plonk yourself down on there, love. There you go. I've got to think about your back. Oh, look at that. Look at that. They're against Uber drivers getting paid $20 an hour. Now, I'm going to be coming across as well. Can Harrington and Brian jump in at any time you want, please, to disagree with us? But they think you're bringing down the corporations. The country's going to turn into Venezuela. The economy's going to go bankrupt because poor little Uber drivers are going to be getting a pay bump.
I'm not mad about companies losing their shit. Like, I'm all about making Uber pay. I just don't think they're going to. I think they're going to drop employees and raise prices.
Well, yeah, I mean, we will be the ones that are paying for it. So if we want to get Ubers, I guess it will be more expensive. But as of right now, I think they like you were saying the other day, they get paid hardly anything. I think it's a good thing, people.
Yeah, it is.
If you're a bit short of money, just go and drive for Uber.
Well, Harrington and Brian didn't like that either. Harrington, jump on and show yourself, please, because this is a bit weird, just me and Beck on here. What's that? What did you say, Brian?
I said, I'm going to go drive for Uber if that's the case.
Do it. You'll make more money than
I'm going to drive for Uber.
Yeah,
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
I bloody would. Harrington, where's he gone? Has he dipped out? There he is.
So it's also, Rebecca, it's also all the Uber Eats and like Grubhub people here in New York.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You never ordered Uber Eats? I know, he's got a real problem about people riding bicycles and getting paid for it. You can do with riding a bicycle yourself, Harrington. Yeah. And here's what you need. You need a job with Uber Eats. It'll stop you eating. It'll have you burning some calories and earning a bit of money. This should be great days for you.
But so does that mean the consumer pays more?
You're going to end up paying way more for Grubhub.
Yeah,
it's already a ripoff.
It is a ripoff. Oh, God.
It's soul destroying, but yet we still do it.
Yeah, we do. I'm not a cheap ass, but I have sometimes, like just recently, there's this place we love, Clyde's Chicken. And it ended up like $44. But the burger was $17.99 for the chicken sandwich with some fries and a drink. And then after all the add-ons, it was $45. And I was like, no. For one combo. I was like, nah, I'm not doing it. Just out of principle. I'm like, no way.
It's like you're cooking, babe.
Looks like you're cooking, babe. Harrington, we'll keep you here for this one more story before I let you go. In fact,
sorry, I didn't have much to add.
You didn't.
I don't understand the story. I just don't understand why you don't have a problem. Why they can have a problem with it.
You've just got to be quiet now.
Okay, sorry.
Harrington, Botswana, elephants. Break it down.
Okay, so this one I found very interesting. Germany is threatening to impose a new bill that would raise the tariffs and increase fines on people who are importing trophy hunting stuff. Anything that involves, taking tusks off an elephant, anything like that, anything that comes over into Germany is going to be heavily fined and hurt that economy. So Botswana says, all right, you want these elephants to stay alive. We're going to send you 20,000 of them. Figure out what to do with them.
So Botswana are saying they're a pest now, basically.
So essentially, what I read was during the dry seasons, Botswana still has like a ton of water, so a ton of elephants migrate into Botswana, and they don't know what to do with all of them, and it's helping their economy to kill some of them and sell stuff to the Germans.
Yeah, but okay. Look, listen. Okay, I want people to get more money. Okay. I want people to stop killing elephants as well. I mean, what does this make me? Is this designed to make me look bad? We should not be hunting elephants, okay? They are big, massive, glorious beasts that were on the endangered species list for a while.
They're not anymore now because of
open season.
Because of conservation efforts, there's too many elephants.
Oh my gosh, are we against conservation now?
Well,
but what are they doing?
They're saying there's too many. They're saying there's
and how is that impacting?
What they're saying is because Botswana, they make a lot of money from the poachers, coming in, and there's a lot of tourism and stuff like that. 20,000 elephants, though. That's a lot of elephants. That's a lot of meat, and that's a lot of space, and that's a lot of issues. And I doubt Botswana would have the ability to travel 20,000 elephants.
I'd call them on their bluff. Okay.
Yeah, but what do you do if they come through? Now you got 20,000 elephants marching through Munich. That's a nightmare for them.
They've already given away about 8,500 elephants to countries because they have too many, and they threatened to send 10,000 elephants to London. They were like, we're just going to send you 10,000 elephants.
10,000 elephants just marching through the streets. Before you ask that question, let me just ask Brian. Brian, just look up a second. What was the, the population? How many elephants are on the planet now compared to 10 years ago, please, Rebecca?
Well, I was just going to say, when the rains subside, which I'm sure they will, won't they just go on their merry little way and... and then problem solved.
Correct.
Just wait it out, guys.
They won't stay in Botswana.
With herds of elephants, possibly.
You're in Africa. You have elephants. Do you know what I mean?
Comes with the territory.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what do we get? Crows and bobcats.
We get coyotes.
They're a pain in the ass. I'd rather have an elephant, if I'm honest.
Elephants can be very violent and aggressive and dangerous.
Especially when in the mating season.
A coyote.
Don't people hunt the coyotes by you though? Aren't you allowed to hunt them?
I don't know. People don't where we live immediately, but I don't think you're allowed to.
People don't hunt coyotes. No. I mean, all right, maybe they do, but like I've never met anyone say, "What are you doing?" I'm off hunting coyotes.
When we're on our little trail walks.
Yeah, we go walking every night. We're not bumping into the coyote hunters. No.
Okay. Well, I know, like, I have a lot of comedian friends who live in Austin, and they talk about it all the time. Like, there's a ton of wild pigs out there, and so they go. It's like a culling thing where they just have like the big guns, and they're like, that's how you take care of a problem. Otherwise, it will overrun your place. Like, somebody has to do this, and it's also cool that you get some nice pig meat out of it.
Well, that's what they do in Australia, basically, with kangaroos. Brian, yes.
So there's about 450,000 elephants in Africa right now. That can't be right.
What's he called on the Joe Rogan podcast? Jamie. Jamie's job is safe for now. Rebecca, thank you for your time, darling.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Brian and Hamilton and I are going to do some questions in a moment. So we're going to say,
pull it out.
Go on, I'm pulling. Both.
Here we go.
See you later. All right, this episode is sponsored by Prize Picks, which is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. And they are the easiest and the most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. It's that easy, okay? Whatever sport you're into, they probably offer betting on that, okay? And this weekend, if you like baseball, they've got something for you. But of course, UFC 300, they'll be putting out offers on there. You can make your picks. It's just more or less. But if you're a baseball fan, Byron Buxton, is he going to get more or less than 5 total bases? O'Neal Cruz, more or less than 0.5 home runs. And Jose Ramirez, is he going to get more or less than 1.5 hits and runs and RBI? If you know the answer to that, I mean, listen, it's not hard. You just say more or less. If you do know that, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few quick, simple taps. And by the way, PrizePicks now offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account. And by the way, we got a little offer for you. Go to prizepicks.com/believe, use the code BELIEVE, and you will get a first deposit match of up to $100. As I say, they have a variety of sports. They are the PrizePicks for the baseball. As I said, to take advantage of the offer, go to prizepicks.com/believe. And if you use the code BELIEVE, you will get a first deposit match of up to $100. In fact, you know what, Harrington? Staying with the animal vibe, dogs, they are a man's best friend after all. And Dave Portnoy actually came under fire recently from one former middleweight champion of the world, the very controversial Mr. Sean Strickland. What has been going on there?
So Sean Strickland, I guess, just found out about Dave Portnoy this week because he says, my girl watches TikTok, sadly. She keeps showing me Miss Peaches, the Barstool Sports guy's dog. I asked my girl, does this man have kids? No. Let me tell you all something. If you're a grown-ass man, childless man, obsessed about a dog, you got to rethink your life, rich or poor.
And that wasn't the end of it. Did Dave Portnoy come back? Did he have a response?
I don't know if Portnoy himself did. Let me double check on that.
I know that Michael Chiesa did. Look, listen, I mean, Sean's just playing up to a certain demographic, isn't he? Dogs are a man's best friend. And sadly, not every man, not every human will go out there and become a parent. And that's just the way it is. Some people don't want them. Children I'm talking about, not dogs. Like Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais and his wife, they don't want children. They said, you know what? We're good. We're living a great life. For me, children are the meaning of life, but you can't use that for everybody. That's what makes the world unique. And just because Dave Portnoy doesn't have a child, but he has a dog, I don't really necessarily think that makes him, it's not a reason to ridicule.
No, I mean, especially if you're a man who doesn't have children himself. That drives me up the wall. And it's like, is that your goal? Or are you just trolling all of us?
Of course he is. He's just trolling everyone. He's just picking a fight. Dave Portnoy is a big name. Do you know what I mean? So he's like, talk shit, Dave Portnoy, get a bit of traction, get a bit of buzz, all the rest of it. I think Strickland's just having the crack, having a laugh, talking out of his ass. Just he's probably sitting there when he's tweeting this stuff, laughing his head off, going, right, this is going to set the internet on fire. Here we go. I'm going to have a go at Dave Portnoy for not having kids when I myself have never fathered a child of any description. But Michael Chiesa, he came out of the woodwork, right?
Michael Chiesa jumped on. He said, if you're a grown-ass childless man hating on someone for loving a dog, you got to rethink your life, rich or poor.
And it didn't end there, did it? Stop making me extract it line by line. Get to the good stuff, Harrington.
Okay, so Sean Strickland did not take on that. He said, I'm not saying you're wrong, but you talk a lot of shit to me and you haven't earned that right. You're not just a random person on X, no free pass. I think it's time you get an opportunity to be my equal, not at the PI, but I think it's time.
All right. So the latest victim on the list, which is a very long list if you're Sean Strickland. He's picking fights with everybody. So it's Dave Portnoy, it's Michael Chiesa. Did Chiesa respond to that one?
I did not see a response from Chiesa, but I did.
Chiesa, you got to come back. You got to respond to that. You can't have somebody threaten you like that on social media, especially when you're a ranked welterweight fighter. Granted, weight class below, but you're still men. Chiesa's a big dude. Chiesa's a great fighter. It's funny because a lot of people might go, he's not a great fighter. Bro, he's ranked. in the top 15 as a welterweight, okay? He's a big dude. He's probably 6'2". He's got great jiu-jitsu, right? He can beat up a lot of people on this planet. And I am shocked to see him not respond to that tweet.
Yeah, the 3 toughest guys you know at the same time. Michael Chiesa could probably beat him.
I don't know about that. Anyway, what were we going to say?
I'm saying David works at FedEx. But Dave Portnoy says he did respond. He said, bad news for Sean Strickland. Miss Peaches didn't die this weekend like he was rooting for. Sucks for you, Sean. Dogs greater than humans.
You know what? They just might be. You know, dogs. This is like a meme on the internet, isn't it? But like they're so enthusiastic. You leave the house for 2 minutes and you come back and they're just like, yes, you're back. You know, and they're always on the go. As soon as like for me, if I wake up, it's a whole process. Gonna have my coffee, and then lately now it's we have water with honey, lemon, and salt. We follow this doctor on Instagram, James Di Nicolai Antonio or something. And he's always posting these stuff, but he says electrolyte, salt. You need salt in your system. So we do that every morning and stuff. But even then, before I go for my morning run or whatever, it's like, oh, fucking hell, here we go again. A dog, literally, that's it. Let's go. They're awesome. They're fantastic. But anyway, I don't need to tell people how great dogs are because, you know. Anyway, if you have a question, please send it into bympod@gmail.com. We like the questions that aren't about MMA, that more about life. So please, a little note for you there, Harrington.
If you are listening on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts, make sure to subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating, positive review. It really helps out on those platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to find out whenever a new episode drops. And if you want to catch over 500 episodes you can't find anywhere else, completely ad-free and totally uncensored, head to gasdigital.com. Use the promo code BYM14. Get a 2-week free trial. Check over 20 great shows on the network.
All right. So first question we have here today is from Jordan.
Guys, it's Jordan from Black Country. My question today is, who's your non-MMA idol in the world? And have you met them? And what was the interaction like? And why are they your idol? Personally, my idol is Chester Too Swole, you know, Instagram guy, and Harrington, because he come from homelessness. Now look at him, multi-millionaire. He's got podcast. Harrington is a successful man. Anyway, guys, Bisping, I love you. And Anthony Smith, good luck as well with the fighting. I love you a lot. Love you too, Brian.
Well, thank you very much. But he's right, you know. He's right. Speaking of you, Harrington, there, you've done incredible, you know, from where you were at one stage in your life. And I think, you know, when people think about success, yes, of course, money is important. You know, we're talking about the Uber drivers for about 3 hours before. It's an important aspect of life, but it can't be the only goal. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of miserable rich people out there, you know, family, friends, real connections, health. That's a big one that I'm aware of these days. Health is wealth, especially as I'm sitting here. My neck is absolutely killing. I'm going to fly down to Colombia soon and get stem cell. Back hurts. You know it. You've heard all of it. The one eye, the everything. Okay. In pain all the time. Health is bloody wealth. So that's the main thing. So, who is my idol? Non-MMA, Harrington and Brian. I'm going to ask you two. Well, I think, because I can't, there's nobody springs to mind. Go on. Rebecca.
So I think the one that always springs to mind for me is Kevin Smith. That's a guy who, you know, just followed his dream completely, wanted to be an artist, wanted to be a filmmaker, knew he really didn't have the talent to do so, but he made it work on like a shoestring budget and became an indie darling success story. And that opened up a door to be able to do whatever he wanted to do in life. And every time I see like a career in art that's like, you know, a working man, but still, you know, doing a hell of a lot better than me, it's like, I wish I had that guy's career.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Kevin Smith is cool. We're just doing questions at the end of the show, and the question was, who are our childhood idols outside of mixed martial arts or idols in life? And the reason I called you over is because does this sound bad that I can't think of one? I mean, I'm a fan of many people and I appreciate many, many people's work, and, you know, but idols. Who do I really like and appreciate?
I had one for you. I thought it was going to be immediate.
Go on.
Arnie.
Well, yeah. Oh no. Okay. Thank you very much.
Does have a man crush on Arnie.
I do have a man crush on Arnold Schwarzenegger. I do. And you leave Arnie alone, okay? Arnold Schwarzenegger. There you go. I mean, you can't take inspiration from that guy, from his life and what he's done and what he's achieved, coming from a very poor family post World War II, coming out to us, to America, becoming the most successful bodybuilder, then the biggest, highest paid movie star on the planet, then becoming governor of California. Do you know what I mean? And on top of all that, still a nice, humble, down-to-earth guy amongst it all. I've told this story before when I saw him at Gold's Gym and he was just there with his girlfriend, I think it was, and he came over and he was cool as hell, very approachable. We had a chat and then he just got on his bike and rode off. No entourage, no, bodyguards around him and all the rest of it. Maybe being a former governor, maybe there was someone lurking in the background, but that just really, really impressed me over all his success and fame and wealth that he's acquired. The fact that he was still just a regular guy in the gym. I thought that was incredible.
So you did get to meet not only did we find the guy, but you did get to meet him and had a good interaction with him. I feel like that's the trifecta no one gets.
And I got a picture with him as well, which I occasionally post on Instagram.
I think before Arnie, it would have been Van Damme would have been.
Oh, don't say Van Damme.
No,
when I was a kid.
That's what I'm saying.
When I was a child.
You said childhood, right?
Yeah, but we did meet Van Damme.
Child. We did.
We did, and we hung out with him.
We hung out.
We did. He's off the list. He's off the list.
I went to that fight at the Apex, and I sat right behind him.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Was Van Damme there?
With two smoking hot chicks.
Oh, of course, he's Jean-Claude Van Damme.
What do you mean Jean-Claude Van Damme? No.
Babe, that's Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's JCVD.
Yeah, I know, but he's like...
What?
I don't know.
Choose your words very...
Three. I think it was actually three.
How old is he now?
Yeah, so what? Who cares? He's a goddamn movie star. He's the muscles from Brussels. He'll still do the splits. He's still banging out movies. He's still
crushing on Jean-Claude.
He's still got this French accent, He's the muscles from Brussels. Okay, Belgium, whatever you want to call it. He's got a French accent. Stop picking me apart.
I'm trying to think of if I had an idol.
Yeah, who was yours?
I don't know.
Who did you have a crush on?
I'm talking about females. I'm talking about men.
Strong, empowering ladies, yeah.
Oh my God.
No, sure.
So patronizing. That is not, and no, I grew up in the supermodel era. So in the 90s, everyone my age had a favorite supermodel and you kind of idealized them. That would be idolized.
And who was that? Claudia Schiffer?
No,
I was a big fan of Claudia.
My favorite was Karen Mulder.
Not familiar with her work.
She was the prettiest.
Bring up a still of Karen Mulder.
In her prime, yes.
Mulder. Or Mulder?
Mulder.
Let's have a look at her, please, Brian. I'm not familiar with her, but in terms of when you were a child, let's have a look. Oh, yeah, very pretty lady. She's beautiful. I mean, let's be honest. I don't think anyone's kicking her out of bed.
Well, you should, first of all. Thank you very much.
No, but I don't think the average man on the street is not going to have an issue when they wake up. They go, oh, God, I had a heavy one last night. Oh, there's someone in bed. It's Karen Mulder. No one's going to
I thought she was the best.
Well,
I don't know if
more than Kate Moss
hero. No,
I'm a Karen Mulder fan. I am totally on board with this Karen Mulder suggestion.
She was my favorite supermodel.
Let's go, Karen. Karen plus the cool.
Trying to think.
What about all right, give me when you were younger a guy that you had a crush on, like a celebrity crush. Come on, give it to me.
Like when I was young?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't give me that bullshit. Come on.
Why do you always want me to talk about crushes and stuff?
I don't know. We're just being it's a very childish conversation.
Like probably when I was really little, I'd say Johnny Depp and Kevin Costner, those kind of type
Kevin
of
Costner,
ones.
yeah.
When I was really little, but then I got over them.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, I liked that movie.
You did.
I did.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Anyway.
All right. My knee's going dead. Karen Mulder, your ass out of here. Thank you, sweetheart.
Pull it out. I can't do it. You have to pull it.
Next question. We'll keep you around for the next question because we've got no answer.
I feel like I'm making you very hot.
It's quite all right. It's fine. It's fine. Brian, what do we have, buddy?
Oh, this gentleman did not leave his name and/or I lost it. So here we go.
So the first question is, dealing with fighting. Was there ever a fight that y'all signed that didn't happen and y'all regret that it didn't happen? I'm kind of curious of which fight that was for the both of y'all. My second question is a life question. I'm a girl dad, have a 16-year-old daughter, has a boyfriend, every father's dream. But she just recently asked me the big old question, when can my boyfriend spend a night? So, yeah, obviously not anytime soon, but I want to know from Michael Bisping, because your daughter is a little bit older, how did you handle that situation when it happened? And Anthony Smith, how are you going to handle it when it happens with you? And Harrington, what are you going to do when it happens with you? Big fan of the show, guys. Keep up the good work. Anthony Smith, good luck on your upcoming fight. Hope you knock it out of the park, man.
Well, thank you very much for the question, and we'll just stick to the daughter side of things. No offense, and it is a good question because it's something that a good friend of ours. Well, obviously we've been through this phase, and we're going through this phase right now. Ellie has a boyfriend, and sometimes he stays over. She's 22, he's 23. It's a natural thing, and a good friend of ours is constantly saying, because his daughter's 12 or 13, and he's always saying, I don't know how you do that. That's crazy. It's crazy. It's like it must be because you're European. You're European, so you're so like,
oh, we're so liberal.
You're so liberal and stuff. I'm like, no, it's not that. It's like at some point you've got to, obviously they've got to respect the household, and they cannot be bringing back random people. But when it's a long, stable, serious relationship, it's kind of what happens. Rebecca?
Yeah, I think my parents were always pretty understanding about you staying over. Like, we were 18. So I think that was, obviously it depends on the age. 16, I think, is young. You can't allow, I don't think you can allow it at 16. But like you say, long term, maybe you make it so you can open the door freely. You don't, like that type of thing. Obviously, they're not going to be doing anything like in the house or around parents anyway, because that's just weird. But I think and each daughter's different. Some are more mature at 16, so maybe that would be okay for some kids, but not for all.
The thing is as well, and this, is that, obviously being a fighter and all the rest of it, people are always like, oh, I'm sure, guys are terrified and whatever when they come round. And I always kind of go the other way, don't I? I always... Yeah,
but I think any decent human being is not going to deliberately try and make your daughter's boyfriend feel like a piece of crap.
Yeah, no, but that's not what I was... Yeah.
Just because, hey, look after my daughter, that's what's expected.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I always go a bit too much the other way. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is our guy. He's part of the family now. We're sitting down, we're doing family dinners, and Ellie's like, listen, we don't know if things are going to work out. I'm like, well, we're all going to Cancun next year. Come on, let's go. And, the boyfriend's like, whoa. Not that she's had many boyfriends, of course. It sounds like it, but there has been a couple of even when she was a kid, like he wasn't staying over. I'm like, remember Charlie? I'm like, Charlie's awesome. Come on, Charlie. But anyway, whatever. Yeah.
It's something, and it's just weird when you have a little tiny daughter. You think that you could never allow that to happen, but obviously, they mature, you mature. And if you don't, then they will sleep over the boyfriend's house when you really got no idea what's going on. So I would say err on the side of caution, allow it within reason, and chill out.
Yeah. Harrington, have you thought about this?
I mean, I still have my fingers crossed that, my little girl's into girls, and then that's not a problem.
Jesus, there it is. Of course, it solves all the problems in the world. Brian, do we have one more question before we wrap up the show?
We sure do. We got a question here from Svebor.
Hey there, BYM. If the four of you were a band, rock band, who would play what instrument? And Jebby Harrington.
All right, if we were in a band.
Am I included in
this? You're the band. Ooh. It's me. You're the new Anthony Smith.
Oh, okay.
For today. You're playing Anthony's role. Mm-hmm. So, Rebecca.
Not singer.
I've never heard her sing in the 24 years.
Literally tone deaf.
I bought her a violin, Harrington. She, kids started getting older. I said, you need to get a hobby. I've always wanted to learn the violin. So I thought, I'll get her a violin and I'll get her some violin lessons. And me being a dickhead, I thought I'll get her a good violin. Right. So it wasn't cheap. It's never been taken out of the case. If anyone wants a good violin that cost about $1,500.
Oh, it didn't cost that.
It was about $1,200. It was. I'm not bloody lying.
I have no idea. I've never picked it up.
If you want a $1,200 violin, best offers. Take it. I'll give it a little squiggle for you as well.
It. One day I will.
Oh, yeah. What would you do?
So I just got Alex a ukulele actually for her 31st, and she's rocking out like every single night. She sings songs to the baby. It's not even that. She found like the Tab website where it's just super easy and simple to teach yourself, and it's like literally I feel like open new pathways in her brain. It's the coolest thing.
Brian would for sure have his shirt off and be lead guitar.
No,
I've been playing the drums for 30 years, so I would probably.
Okay.
You want to play drums, Mike?
What am I doing?
Oh, what are you doing? You're not musical.
I'll sing.
What would I do? I'll do like bass guitar or something.
Ooh. I'm the lead singer. If we're doing a band, I'm the lead singer. Simple as that.
I got this.
Obviously.
I got this.
That just goes without saying.
Lead singer, but you're also behind the decks because it's like a rap rock style band. You can just play. You can play disc throughout.
Does everything.
That's such a cool band.
Yeah.
Anthony has the build for a bass player.
Oh,
yeah, he does. Yeah,
I want to be bass player.
He's the bass.
I gotta learn
the bass. What?
You're gonna trust me on guitar?
I don't know. I wouldn't trust you with anything, Harrington.
That's a pretty big role.
Yeah.
Both,
super easy.
Yeah. Brian's got it all. He'll play it all. He'll edit it all down, make it all sound fantastic. Thank you very much for tuning in to the show, everybody. That is it. That is Believe You Me. That is the end of the episode.